Good morning. I'm Linda Middlecoff. I'm chapter chair of Douglas County Right to Life, and I'm also on the state board of Oregon Right to Life and Oregon Right to Life Education Foundation. I've been involved in the pro-life movement myself for about 30 years. Anyway, but I've never done any sidewalk counseling, so I'm very eager to hear what our speakers have to say, as I'm sure you are as well. We have the delightful opportunity to hear from 4 amazing women who have had years of experience among them. And I just would like to mention their names. First, let me see. Okay, that Marie Brown, which I haven't had much time to talk to people. Pardon me? Marie Barzin. Oh, sorry, Marie Barzin. Sorry, I have this all down here, but, and then Sarah Livingstone on the end here. This is better because I met everybody but Julie. Julie McConnell in the middle, and Therese Rusnick. And I'll let them tell about their experiences. I was thinking about telling you about their bios, but they can do that. What I'd like to bring to your attention before we start is that each person was given a 3x5 index card, and I realize some of you may have used yours already, so if someone is outside finding extra ones for me. I'm going to be giving the speakers a 5-minute warning, and at that time, if you have already written down questions, get them ready. I'm coming around to get them. And if not, write them out really quick and hold them up in the air, and I'll come get them. And then, so that's 5 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes before, actually, I'm going to give you like a 10-minute warning, so we have 5 minutes for questions. Does that make sense? All right. So at 10 minutes, I'll give a 10-minute warning to them, and then I'll come around right after that and gather your questions so that when we reach 5 minutes, we'll have the questions available for our speakers. Okay, any questions? All right, well, welcome, ladies, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. Thanks, Marie.
Thank you, Linda. Hello, and thank you for coming to our workshop on sidewalk counseling. What is it really like on the streets? I've been involved with the pro-life movement for over 15 years through my church, St. Cecilia's, 40 Days for Life, and Precious Children of Portland. I've led the Beaverton 40 Days campaign for 5 years before merging with Therese Rusnick and their campaign. While starting out at the Beaverton Planned Parenthood, other pro-life volunteers were standing across the street and holding their signs, noticed a young couple arguing in their car. The young woman was very upset and crying. They were there for over half an hour. It was the 3 o'clock hour. At that same time, a young sister at Our Lady of Peace Retreat House was lamenting that due to a scheduling conflict, she could not come to do her vigil hour. What she did do was during Mass, at that very same time, was to ask our Lord to save a baby through her Eucharistic offering. She trusted that our Lord would hear her prayer. Well, after half an hour in the car, the young couple pulled out of the Planned Parenthood parking lot, pulled in front of the pro-lifers, and said, "Thank you for standing out here. You guys helped us realize that we shouldn't be here. We're going to keep our baby." They drove away. That just goes to show you the power of prayer, even if you're not there, okay? So that was the first amazing story. Sometimes people's hearts are softened by our witness. One such woman came across the street at the Beaverton Planned Parenthood to tell us that for 5 years she would come every Friday to pick up her mail at the post office, really close by. At first, she was very upset by our presence and our signs. You see, she had an abortion as a young woman. Decades later, of course, this still wounded her. Year after year, she would come by and see us on that corner by Planned Parenthood. But slowly, the Lord began to work on her heart. And after that, she was so convicted that she went to her evangelical pastor to ask about forgiveness and to seek forgiveness. After that, she wrote a pro-life blog for other women such as her, post-abortive blog. She came by one Friday to come and to greet us and to let us know what our witness had done for her in her life, and by her blog, other people's lives. It was soon after that that I merged with Therese Rusing's campaign at various locations, both at the Beaverton, MLK, and Lovejoy. Despite being a sidewalk counselor for all those years, I was never directly involved with a personal save until about 4 years ago. I remember lamenting to the Lord that I was trying to be patient, but that I would be so encouraged by a save. I did tell our Lord that if this wasn't his plan for me, that I would trust that I was to be a support for others that had saved lives like Therese. Well, almost immediately, things changed. 4 of those saves four or maybe 5 of those saves stand out for me. The first were 2 young women who stepped out of an Uber cab in front of the Lovejoy Surgery Center. And I think we have that picture up behind us. From my training with sidewalk advocates, I learned to say things like, "Hi, my name is Marie. I know that you must be scared, but I'm here to help. What can I do to help you?" To my surprise, they were receptive. I talked about all of our guardian angels. I talked about how the 3 of us were souls, but there were also another 3 souls, 6, but there was also another soul, another guardian angel, their baby's guardian angel. Well, they walked into that clinic, and I was kind of disappointed, but about 45 minutes later, they walked out. The young woman, the mom, was crying, and the other friend turned out to be the sister, said that they're going to keep the baby. Therese and I tried to offer them help, a baby shower, whatever they needed, but they kind of refused. They said, no, we got this, and they walked away. The next 2 saves set me on a new course. There were 2 young women, both Therese and I convinced not to have abortions. I was tasked with finding a shelter or maternity home for them. After searching through various city and county shelters, I found that there are no such government homes for pregnant moms here in the metro area. A pregnant woman has to have an active drug or alcohol problem to find shelter. There are 2 wonderful Protestant maternity homes here in the metro area. Some of these people are right here, Road to Hope. They're awesome. A fully Christian-funded maternity home. The women that go there, their lives are changed. You see it, you feel it. It's awesome. Road to Hope. They have a table out there in the center too. Anyway, but with those 2 women, it didn't work out. We tried really hard to place them, but for various reasons, it didn't work out. But that set me on a different course. That's why we're starting a Catholic maternity home called the St. Maria's Maternity Home. You can find our table also out there, and you can ask us questions. We have an awesome board, great people on our staff. Well, they're not paid yet. Nobody's paid. Anyway, we're sharing a table with Precious Children of Portland, so please come afterwards and ask us questions. There's another story that I'd like to talk about. Do I have time? Anyway, there was an awesome family, a man and a wife that came in, and I didn't know who this guy was, but I just kind of shouted out something like, "We can help you. You don't have to do this." One thing I'd like to say real quickly first, there's kind of different methods. Okay, the Mary Riggert method, for those of you who know Mary Riggert, is to say something like, "Oh, you have such a cute little jacket on," or something about the weather. Just kind of break the ice if you have time. Contrary to what ERI does, they're like at college campuses. We're on the streets. We have 2 to 10 seconds. As a hygienist, I know you have to do those connections quickly. You say something about what they're wearing, the day, whatever. Make a connection, just don't jump in there. And then you say, hi, my name is Marie. I don't know what you're going through today, but I'm here to help. What can I do? Well, this couple it was a refugee couple that came, and they were just scared. They didn't have the extended family support. So we, of course, said the same things about, we'll help you, we'll give you a baby shower. You don't have to do this. They literally turned around the corner. They were talking for like 2 minutes, were praying intensely, and they walked back out. That family, now, all these children are like my godchildren, okay? I love them, they love me. We fundraised for a SUV, a 2017 Honda Pilot, and everybody from the Archdiocese of Portland to little elderly ladies, Baptist ladies with their little $100, their little widow's mite contributed to get them a car. So you guys can do it. You can ask us how to do it. We're out there at the table. God bless you. Have courage and come out and stand for life. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Is this on? Okay. Hello, my name's Therese Rusink, and my topic is, what does a typical day at the abortion center look like? So first off, I want to assure you, everyone, that it's not as daunting and difficult as it may seem to be to stand out in front of an abortion center. I mean, sure, you don't just get up, get dressed, look in the mirror and say, I'm going down there. But and I was a little afraid at first, and I still have my moments, but I overcame my fear. And I also realized that we aren't supposed to be comfortable with certain situations, especially that one. So you just have to be a little brave. And once you get started praying, a certain calmness takes over. Most of the time, standing outside abortion facilities is a matter of practical things, like staying warm or cool. Since our campaigns are usually during spring and fall, although we are at abortion facilities year-round, Beaverton, Lilith, the Lilith Clinic, there's a Planned Parenthood on 146th or 48th and Division, and there is the regional headquarters of Planned Parenthood on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Beach Street. And we've been to all those, except for the 146th one. So, but most of the time, we are there year-round at different times, not every day. So you can ask us about that. If it's in your neighborhood, you could come down and pray for an hour, the second Saturday of the month or whatever, whenever we're there. It's usually pretty cold. So wool is your friend. I've invested in smart wool. I have a bunch of wool sweaters and gloves and stuff. And it's really good because if you get the guts to go out there and you're freezing, you're like, I just want to go home now because I'm so cold. So anyway, that's good. You don't want to get distracted. What most people are doing at the vigil site is they're just being a prayer volunteer. I shouldn't say just, because that's huge. But either alone or with each other, there's a lot of prayer going on. And we pray the scriptures with our Standing in the Gap prayer books. We pray the rosary. We have devotionals, excuse me, and other prayer books available for people to use. The nice part is there's lots of camaraderie and fellowship when we go there. We do a lot of evangelizing kind of with each other and share stories, and we help encourage one another, and we get to talk about the life issue and ways to encourage others to become pro-life. And we get to talk about God if we want to freely, which is really great, right? And most people, you can't really do that. So personally, my faith has been deepened significantly since I've been doing pro-life work. But while it's easy to get talking out there, the sidewalk counselors especially have to remember to stay alert. You have a few seconds when you see someone coming in. You kind of learn how they're dressed, what they're doing, if their eyes are down, if they're hurrying in there, if they've seen your sign, they know what you're about. And so you only have a few seconds. So We have to stay alert, otherwise we're going to miss someone. We need to stay focused. Our goal as counselors is twofold. First, we're going to try to speak to possible clients. And secondly, we're going to try to engage or give information to passersby. And this is proving to be particularly significant where we are praying now, which is at the Lilith Clinic, which is located on the 9th floor of the 511 building downtown Portland, also known as the Portland Medical Center. And there are many dental and eye offices and acupuncture and things in there. So, you know, we never know who's going in. So it's much harder to discern who might be going in there, but we're pretty good at telling. And at Lovejoy, it was easy. I mean, we could, that's all they did. And so we could see them, you know, pretty much had a better idea. But we usually have an informational flyer pertaining to the abortion facility that we're at, or some other pro-life materials that are attractive, well done, and to the point. We also hand out gift bags to prospective clients that have great resources, materials inside. And we try to make them really attractive so people want to take them. But these days, you know how people are, especially young people, they don't want to take paper or anything. But some people take it, and they're really pretty. So, but even if it's not someone going into the building, passersby can benefit from those things in that little gift bag, because the resources we have explain what abortion is and what the risks are without being too graphic. They also outline what to do if someone has taken the abortion pill and then changes her mind and wants to reverse the process. As you probably know, this is possible depending on the timing. And in addition, the literature we hand out has information about what to do if a person has already had an abortion experience. Because statistics show that 1 in 4 American women, this is from Planned Parenthood, and there's some controversy about this, but the statistics were taken from 2008. But they said that 1 in 4 American women will have an abortion by the time they are 45. So this is important. I mean, you almost have to assume that they had an abortion or an abortion experience, either their sister, or they took someone for one, or they had one. And so we always want to be sensitive to that. Also, we know that when we meet someone at the abortion centers going in for an abortion, about 50% of the time, they've already had 1 or more abortions in their past. So it's important that we have healing information available, which we do. For both the counselors and the passersby, it's amazing how just being friendly and nice can make people well disposed to you. These days, you know, people are generally feeling a little down. Why? You know, and they're not smiling. You know, you just get this look of people, they're just sad. But lots of times it's easy to get someone to smile if you're just paying attention to them and saying, hi, good morning, how are you? Or like Marie said, if it's a woman, I really like that purse or those shoes. Man, knockout outfit. And they like that, you know, women like that. So even if they don't stop and talk, you may have made their day better. And since they know what we're about, because we have signs around and things, they might leave knowing that we're just normal people, for the most part, and we aren't being really aggressive or zealous. So regardless of what's happening at the abortion center, we can't underestimate just how our presence affects people. We know from Abby Johnson that when there are people standing vigil at abortion facilities, there can be as high as a 75% no-show or cancellation rate for appointments on abortion day. That's huge. We never knew that until she told us that. Oh, you have that one there? Okay. So, and people see us standing witness and praying out there. We're praying for everyone, the whole community, the clients, the workers, the passersby, and each other. And sometimes we don't even say anything. And a couple or a woman will come out and say, we're not going through with it. We're keeping our baby. This has happened twice now at Lilith and many times elsewhere. Just last Saturday, a gal came out of the building. She was trembling. She looked very distraught. And I call her Jay. She said these lovely words, "I couldn't do it." And I asked her to clarify, "You're not going to have an abortion? You're going to keep your baby?" And again, she said, "I couldn't do it." One of our prayer volunteers had seen her going into the building earlier. He didn't say anything to her, but he wondered, and it came to him that he thought she needed prayer, so he prayed for her. So thank you, Holy Spirit, because when she came out, she could have left and not said anything to us, and we wouldn't have known anything. But she stopped a little distance from us and spoke those lovely words. She wanted to tell us the news. She knew what we were about, and I congratulated her, which often, when you see a pregnant woman, I'm old, right? When you saw a pregnant woman, you'd say, "Congratulations," but these days it's like, "Oh, was that did you mean to do that," or whatever, So I congratulated her. I told her, I gave her a gift bag. I told her that we had a lot of resources for her, and she was very reluctant to talk. But when I looked down, I saw that she was holding the ultrasound in her hand. So they gave it to her. So that's one thing, we can tell women, and Julie's the one who reminded me, tell them when they're going in, you can look and listen to your ultrasound. That will often change women's minds. And, they won't show it to them unless they ask for it. They keep it hidden from them. So that's a good thing to say, too, if you only have a few seconds. So anyway, when she showed me her ultrasound, and she was 12 weeks along, and that's the exact age of the fetal model I gave her inside the gift bag. So as a prayer volunteer, you could be one of the people praying and ministering to these women. And we know, like I said, we need people down there praying. We want to make a big splash. We want to make it uncomfortable for Lilith. They're newly established. We want to make it, we don't want them to become entrenched like Lovejoy was. We want to have a lot of people out there praying and bothering them. You know what I mean? So lastly, one of the fruits of standing at abortion facilities is that lots of healing from abortion experiences can occur. Women and men we don't even know will come up to us and tell us in anger or humility of their abortion experience. And we have a listening ear for their pain. Go ahead and yell at me. That's fine. I can take it. And healing information if they want it. And we will indeed pray for them. And when you think about it, who's praying for those girls coming in there, those women? They usually come alone or with someone else, and no one's praying for them. So we get to be the ones that are praying for them and for their babies. And for, that's the little bit of love those babies are going to get on earth, is when we're praying for them. And oftentimes we have good talks with passersby also. So you never know what's going to happen out there. You never know what or whom you're going to encounter. You never know how you're going to touch someone's life. There are so many amazing stories and things that happen on the sidewalk. It's just really amazing. God puts people in front of you. So in a sense, that's a typical day.
Mark and I have been part of the pro-life movement for a long time. We met at Multnomah School of the Bible. And back then, things were very volatile in the pro-life movement. Some of the gray heads here know what I'm talking about. People being arrested in front of the clinic, people holding up bloody signs, all that kind of stuff. I have 9 children, and I homeschooled those kids. So though I was very pro-life, spent a lot of time at home taking care of the kids, and I didn't have time to be on the sidewalk. And I also had those memories of those very volatile experiences, and that's not really what I wanted to be a part of. Back in 2017, an email popped up in my email, and I don't know why, but it was about 40 Days for Life. It's not something that I had ever heard about. And what stuck out to me in that email is it said, peaceful and prayerful. I thought, I could do that. Maybe. Am I peaceful? I don't know. I think I could do that. And my kids were grown by that time. So I decided to give it a try. I went out there. Therese Rusink was out at the Planned Parenthood on MLK. That was where we were having our 40 Days for Life prayer vigil. And I just committed myself to being there and praying. That's the only thing that I plan to do. When we give interviews, like on Mater Day or the Christian radio station, talk to people about being out on the sidewalk, what we really emphasize to people is the only thing that's required of you, is that you be peaceful and prayerful. That's it. You don't have to hold a sign. You don't have to talk to anyone. You can do that if you want to. And we brought some signs for you to see what kind of signs we have. But all you have to do is pray. Now, most of our volunteers do that. Most of the people that come out to the sidewalk do just want to hold a sign. They kind of feel safe holding the sign. I feel like a target. They feel safe. Or they just want to pray. And that's fine. But then we have people like some of you that want to know, well, if I do want to talk to somebody, what should I say to them? How do I do that? So I've come up with a really short sidewalk counseling course here, okay? Really, really short, but I've got a few pointers for you. So the first and most important thing is that you be prepared to be on the sidewalk, and you do that with prayer and with reading the Word of God. That's how you prepare to be there. And I'm going to tell you the truth, even after being on the sidewalk for a while now, I feel sick to my stomach for several days before I go on the sidewalk. Once I get there, I'm fine. It's like, oh, it's not that bad. But, the enemy attacks us. The enemy makes us worry, and what am I going to do? What am I going to say? What's it going to be like? Is somebody going to yell at me? So the first thing you want to do is pray. And don't worry about what to say. Jesus instructed the disciples, and when they bring you before the synagogues and the rulers and the authorities, do not be anxious how or what you are to answer or what you are to say, for the Holy Spirit will teach you in that very hour what you ought to say. And we see that all the time. And oftentimes we say what we believe is the wrong thing, and God just really turns that around and uses it. So you pray in the days before you go on the sidewalk, you pray the night before, you pray the day of, and then you want to be willing to be silent. I like to say that Job's friends were the most helpful when they didn't say anything, right? Okay, you want to put aside your assumptions. When we were at Lovejoy, as Therese mentioned, that was a late-term abortion facility. I want to say 99% of their work was abortion. Sometimes people were going in for other reasons, but it was an abortion facility. So it was really easy to assume that woman you see in there, she must be pregnant. That's why she's getting an abortion. But we learned many, many times over to not even assume that. You really don't know what's going on in that person's life. They might be a friend of somebody who's having an abortion. They might be there because their baby has died, and sadly, many doctors in Portland would send their patients to the Lovejoy Clinic to resolve that, that child that had died in the womb. They might actually be there for birth control. You just don't know. So put aside your assumptions and ask questions, be observant, be willing to listen, be willing to be quiet. I recall something that happened at Lovejoy where somebody had tried to park their car, and they ran into this cement post in the back of the Lovejoy Clinic. And oddly enough, that was an opportunity to start a conversation with him. Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to your car. Is everything okay? And then what I discovered in talking to him was that his wife's baby had died. They were there for fetal demise. And we ended up having a really good conversation where I was able to support him in prayer. Again, putting aside those assumptions. You want to be prepared with materials. Just the other day, I got an email from somebody saying, hey, I want to go down to the Planned Parenthood. What do I need to bring with me? How do I get materials? We are your resource for that. We have lots and lots of materials. And through Precious Children of Portland, a chapter in Oregon Right to Life, we have money that gets donated so that we can purchase materials. So don't worry about that. Don't feel like I can't go because I don't have what I need. We have what you need. We give out gift bags, as Therese mentioned. Actually, the bag that you received today is kind of an example of that. We have other things that we put in it, like some fingernail polish, some nail files, that kind of thing, something, attractive little gift for them. And when we hand that out, we don't say, do you want that? If somebody came to you and said, do you want to buy a vacuum cleaner, would you say yes? You'd say no, right? So we don't usually give them opportunity to say no. We say, this is for you. We have a gift for you. We have resources for women. And if they stop long enough, if they hesitate long enough, then there's an opportunity possibly to have a conversation. Don't argue with people. Now, I'm going to get struck by lightning because I've had lots of arguments with people on the sidewalk. And sometimes there will be an opportunity to have a real conversation with somebody that wants to debate with you. But it's very often not the case that they actually want to talk to you, that they want to have an intelligent discussion. So really the best thing to say when people are arguing with you is, God bless you, have a good day. And just, turn away, get back to the task at hand, because we're not there to argue with people. We're there to pray, and we're there to hopefully save a baby that day, right? You're not required to have training to be on the sidewalk. Like I said, if you just want to come and pray, just observe, hold a sign. All of you are welcome. We need bodies on the sidewalk. But if you would like to know how to talk to people, there's lots of really good training resources for you. We've got live action videos. There's Equal Rights Institute. 40 Days for Life has really good training videos. And then through our group, we have training through Sidewalk Advocates for Life. I did bring some workbooks with me, and you can see those out on the table and kind of thumb through them. It's really excellent training. We've had a lot of people take the training that haven't come to the sidewalk. They just really wanted to understand what happens there. So anybody is welcome. We only charge $5 for that workbook to cover our costs. It's long, a few hours of your time, but lots of really helpful information that you'll benefit from and that your church will benefit from. So please let us know if you're interested in doing a sidewalk training time. We would love to do that. The last thing I would leave you with is something that Therese referenced about the power of people just being there and the impact that it can have on people that go into the clinic. One of the volunteers that worked with us, she was telling me about a friend of hers that had an abortion at Lovejoy Clinic. And all the way to her abortion, she said, someone will stop me. Someone will stop me. Someone will stop me. And nobody was there. So she had her abortion. Abby Johnson told us a story last year at the symposium about an abortion worker that called to leave the industry. And she asked her, why did you leave? Who talked to you? What did they say? And she said, well, I was standing, in the upper story of the building, and I was looking down, and there was a woman on the sidewalk in the rain on her knees praying. And I thought to myself, that woman loves me enough that she would kneel on the sidewalk and pray for me. What am I doing here? And she left. So when we say just pray, that's your most powerful weapon. That's the biggest thing that you can do. And that's all that you're being asked to do. So we hope you'll prayerfully consider coming out to the sidewalk. We certainly appreciate that there are people who can't be on the sidewalk for one reason or another, and we would encourage you to partner with somebody who can pray for you. I have a prayer partner that I try to call when I'm out on the sidewalk and say, Norma, please pray for me. I'm out here. And I see God's work when she does that for me. So you're important, even though you can't be on the sidewalk. But I think I've made the case that being there, being present, is really important.
Hi, my name is Sarah Livingstone. Thank you all for being here. Honored to be with these amazing women. I feel like they're my mentors. A quick little background about me. I've been holding a sign like this since I was a little girl in South Dakota, coming from a strong pro-life family. Started a pro-life group at my Catholic high school in Wisconsin that's still growing strong. They go to the March for Life in DC every year. And currently I lead the St. Michael's pro-life group in Portland at our parish. And today I'm going to talk to you about the location, our current location that we are holding vigil at, late-term abortion facility, Lilith Clinic. As many of you know, if you ever need any evidence on sidewalk counseling or being on the sidewalk working, we had our biggest victory, the biggest victory on the West Coast for an independent closure of a abortion facility, specifically a late-term abortion facility, the Lovejoy Surgery Center, which closed last January 2021. Huge victory. They estimate between 100 to 150 babies were killed there. 150,000. And obviously many thousands of women's hearts broken and families. And there were also hundreds of saves. And thanks to these women, it was 50 years of people being out on the street, peacefully praying, holding a sign, and it worked. And they closed from lack of business. They admitted they closed from lack of business, lack of patients coming there. We had heard that possibly another late-term abortion facility was going to open. Lovejoy, was really trying to sell that. We were researching, and one day I came across that another one was opening up in March called Lilith Clinic. That would be Portland's new late-term abortion facility. And Lilith means demon, specifically one who steals your baby. Author James Joyce coined Lilith as the patron saint of abortion. So we were it's pretty bizarre. They're really not hiding it. And again, as Therese said, they're downtown at Southwest Washington and 10th on the 9th floor of the 511 building. And this was one of our very first, right when they opened. Sue, who does a lot of our graphics, she came up with this, and we sent this to all the businesses in the tenants in the building, the Menashe family, the owners. We handed it out to other businesses in the neighborhood. We immediately started a campaign outside of Lilith. Unfortunately, on March 19th, they officially opened, so their year anniversary is coming. And Lilith Clinic is a late-term abortion facility that performs abortions through 22 weeks. So when the preborn baby is 5.5 months pregnant. Another very disturbing thing about Lilith is that they promote a concierge service on their website. And for an extra cost, they will arrange air or ground travel to Portland, car service to and from their abortion facility, and hotel accommodations. And that's because the late-term abortion can be between 2 to 3 days. So they are trying to make Portland a destination, late-term abortion destination spot. They say they're trying to get women from all over the Northwest and nationally. And that is because of Oregon's late-term abortion laws. In the state of Oregon, as I'm sure many of you know, unfortunately, we have some of the worst abortion laws. Abortion is legal up until the moment of birth for any reason. There are absolutely no state restrictions here. So, abortionist Dr. Charlie Brown saw this as an opportunity. The owner of Lilith is abortionist Dr. Charlie Brown. He already owns another late-term abortion facility in Seattle called All Women's Care, where late-term abortions are performed through 26 weeks when the baby is 6.5 months old. And he did an OPB interview last April, and he said it was in direct response. His opening, the host asked him, "Did you open, Lilith because Lovejoy, it was, you were just reopening Lovejoy. And he said, absolutely not. I opened Lilith in response to Lovejoy closing. It was an expansion of his business. Because don't ever think this is, the interview he did, it was like, oh, it's out of the kindness of this man's heart, it was OPB. And late-term abortion, it is big business. A late-term abortion costs anywhere from a few $1,000s to a third trimester abortion costing $25,000. So make no mistake, this is a big business for them. And it's on the backs of babies and mothers. And, just so again, to be clear, this was a whole new clinic, a whole new location, a different owner. This was not a Lovejoy reopening. And he is also Dr. Charlie Brown, abortionist Charlie Brown, is an itinerant abortionist, meaning he moves from state to state. He owns, like I said, abortion clinics in our facilities in Oregon and Washington, but he also travels to Nevada and even Arkansas. And he is also actively training OHSU medical students to become new abortionists, and most likely late-term abortionists, since that's his specialty. So I'm sure you're all understanding why we are at a vigil at this location, and it's the only thing they do are abortions there, 100%. They list that they're going to do some gynecological things possibly in the future. I did a interview with the Catholic Sentinel yesterday, and the editor, and he came down and took pictures there. And I really wanted to emphasize, I think really, our goal is to get them closed down, obviously. But the three main things, number one, it's a late-term abortion facility. Even my pro-choice, pro-abortion friends or peers are not for that. No one really is. And they actually don't believe me when I tell them about it. Many people do not know about Lilith opening in Portland. And let's face it, Portland has already had a rough last 2 years. So adding this chaos, this culture of death down in our downtown that's already struggling, and it's only going to get worse. And, we're the peaceful, prayerful ones. We've already had, wait till Antifa catches on, more other people. I mean, it's not good, and nobody wants it down there. Number two, do we want, again, our beloved Portland and Pacific Northwest to become a destination hub for late-term abortion? And God willing, Roe v. Wade this year with Dobbs versus Mississippi is going to either be overturned or greatly reduced. So they're going to even be trying to get more people to come here. If Roe v. Wade gets overturned or strictly reduced, 26 states immediately either outlaw abortion or greatly restrict it. Glory to God on that. But Oregon is not one of them. So again, another reason to get them closed down. This is a critical time. We don't, how are we going to have a flood of people coming here for that? So a few more slides really fast here. We had some press here from the beginning. And again, the Catholic Sentinel, in 2 weeks, another article will be coming out. Here is, a typical day of vigil. This is Peter's group. Usually they're Fridays and Saturdays. We were told, I know you saw a couple pictures in the beginning, we were under the awning. Can't be under the awning. So, be prepared if you are out there, wear your rain gear, you're standing over there. And this was actually really beautiful. This was a Christmas caroling on Christmas Eve. And it was very powerful. And one other thing, I think there are some misconceptions on who gets late-term abortions. People think it's just for fetal anomaly or the life of the mother. And here's a quick quote, and this is from the Guttmacher Research, which is a pro-abortion research firm that used to work for Planned Parenthood. So this is coming from Planned Parenthood, that concluded that women seeking late-term abortions were not doing so for reasons of fetal anomaly or life endangerment. So that's coming from the pro-abortion side. And then one other quick from an OBGYN. He says, I want to clear something up quickly so there's absolutely no doubt. I'm a board-certified OBGYN who has delivered over 2,500 babies. There's not a single fetal or maternal condition that requires third trimester abortion. Not one. Delivery, yes. Abortion, no. So, like Therese talked about, Marie, Julie, we've had some amazing saves. And again, any evidence that you need that Sidewalk counseling, coming and praying works. We've had saves, Lovejoy Surge Center closed down. And also we even have been told by Lilith Clinic workers came down and said, hey, could you all please leave because you're slowing our business and we also have families to support, which was, kind of crazy, like, on many levels. Like, also maybe you could get a different job that doesn't involve killing babies, but thank you for letting us know that we're slowing business down. So it is working. It's working tremendously. And we just last Saturday had another, save, like Therese said. And again, both of our confirmed saves we've had so far, we never even talked to those people coming in. It was from our peaceful, prayerful presence. And they had the courage to come and tell us that they changed their mind. So those were just the confirmed ones. How many have left and never even told us? So this is our current vigil here. So please join us on the sidewalk in peaceful prayer and sidewalk counseling at Lilith Late Term Abortion Facility or an abortion facility near you. Let's make Portland and our beloved Pacific Northwest a place that supports and promotes a culture of life, not a culture of death. Thank you. And just, just our current spring/Lent 2022 40 days vigil is just started this last Wednesday. It runs through April 10th, and it's Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, and it's listed up there, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we've condensed it a little bit for this one, and so we are going to have larger crowds there, but please join us on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays for these 40 days. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I learned so much from that, and I'm just so delighted that you came today. We do have a few questions. I have another one over there, but I will start off with the first question, and then I'll run and go get that question. Okay, whoops. Hang on. I think I'm going to put this up here. I think it'll have a little more support.
Sidewalk too.
Oh, I know. All right. Do you know if there is a place in Oregon that does late-term abortions other than 22 weeks? And actually, I had another question that kind of goes with this. I was curious why he limited it to 22 weeks rather than 26 when he does the 26 in Seattle. So is there another place in Oregon that does late-term abortions at 22 weeks? And then why stop at 22 weeks?
Possibly the hospitals, OHSU, they have a kind of a hidden satellite location, which is actually, I think, in that same building there in Kaiser. But, I've thought about this, and we've talked about this a little bit. They list 22 weeks that they would go up to, again, when the baby's 5.5 months pregnant at Lilith Clinic. But there's legally nothing stopping them from going as late. They could go up until the minute of birth, the moment of birth. So, they're not bound to that. Like, let's just say somebody came in and they're like, oh, it turns out they're 24 months pregnant. We have no idea. I'm sorry, 24. Yes, weeks pregnant. Are they going to turn away that person and their thousands of dollars? How would we ever know that? And then again, in Seattle, it goes up later.
But also, we do know that those later term abortions are extremely difficult to do. And Charlie Brown can't be everywhere. He's got 4 clinics in Washington, and like we said, 1 here, 1 in Arkansas, 1 in Nevada. So he gets abortionists that he knows can do those. And once we saw, there was a nurse who, I don't know how she did it, but she found out that there was a woman that was 32 weeks along at Kaiser, and she was scheduled for an abortion the next day. But my point is, that takes a special skill. You need a doc who can do those. They are extremely dangerous because of the way they have to be performed to not hurt the mother. I mean, you have bones that are sharp. I won't be graphic, but so that's probably why. Yeah, and we had those ambulance photos. Once when we were at Lovejoy, once we saw 3 ambulances come there within a period of 4 months. And I mean, I would see women come out of there just like bent over, obviously in pain. And it depended on which abortionist was there that day. I could see, the good ones, they didn't look as bad. But anyway.
All right, the next question is a little easier. How difficult is it to find parking in downtown Portland? Costs are high for volunteers.
It's not that bad if you come at 7:30 in the morning with me. It's actually not that bad. It's $2 an hour. And, really, any time that you committed to the sidewalk is meaningful and impactful. If you come for an hour, and we would love it if you came for an hour, if you came for a half an hour. If every pro-life person in the area took 1 hour a year to be on the sidewalk, I think we would cover that place 24 hours a day, right? So the commitment of time is not that much. Parking's not that bad. And believe it or not, we've really had very little trouble downtown. We're Lilith is right across the street from a big construction of a Ritz-Carlton hotel. There's quite a bit of foot traffic. You might have to park, getting more to the point, you might have to park, around the block or a couple blocks away, but it's not that bad. You could take the max, yeah. Yeah, we have some people that do that.
We only have 3 minutes left, so I want to get as many questions. Are there any 40 Days for Life places at the clinic in Gresham? I guess it's a Planned Parenthood clinic in Gresham. And then Hillman East Portland Center or other groups praying at either of those facilities?
For starters, though, there are people praying at the 146 Planned Parenthood. They're there every second Saturday at 10:30, if you can remember that. And there are people praying at the Beaverton Planned Parenthood. And Marie, what's that?
We're at Beaverton on Friday mornings, excuse me, and Saturdays. And I just want to say real quickly that it's not that scary coming downtown. We've all heard of Antifa, but they sleep in, okay? So you get there early. It's just like there's a lot of business people coming back and forth, construction, like Julie said. It's safe. I mean, I'd tell you honestly if I thought it was not safe, but it's early in the morning or early. They're out, past 4 o'clock or something like that.
Oh, okay, thank you. How are local businesses responding to Lilith?
Well, I can tell you how the owners and what we know, we had a huge email campaign. The owners of the 511 building, it's the Menashe family properties, and they own quite a few properties in Portland. We had our churches, we've sent them a ton of emails. Very few reply to none. I know they did not want that. They were told they thought it was a women's clinic. I don't know where the disconnect was. I honestly think they would really love to get out of their lease. And now with the Ritz-Carlton being built directly across the street, the world's most luxurious hotel has their valet opening door like 20 feet from where we stand. So I don't think that's going to go over so well when it opens next year, having people come in town at the Ritz-Carlton, seeing that late-term abortions are performed there. I pray to God that the Ritz-Carlton just pays them off for their lease. So no, I don't think new businesses. We've had tenants come down that say they want to quit their job. One dental hygienist in the very beginning was crying, saying she doesn't know if she can work in that building anymore. So yeah, they don't like it.
Thank you. Okay, how do you keep from becoming a little cynical?
Pray.
Well, there's never really a dull moment. So there's always something that's happening, of one kind or another. And there's lots of quiet time too, especially early in the morning where we're just praying. We see really hopeful things. We have good conversations with people. And, Therese often says that when somebody's yelling at you, angry with you or whatever, that's somebody to pray for, right? There's an opportunity to pray with everything that happens on the sidewalk. So that's a hopeful thing. And to know that you're being used, I don't feel cynical.
Well, it is time, but do you want to say
Just
something?
real quick. Yeah. Another thing is that a way we keep from being cynical is the friendship that we all share. And I think you feel alone when you're out there thinking and worrying about this, but when you come out, you meet the best people in the world. So we keep each other boosted up in prayer.
All right. You know, even though we don't have abortion clinics where I live in Roseburg, we have a very active pro-life group because we know people from Roseburg are going to places like Portland and Eugene and Salem and every place else. And I would agree with you about that. It's so important. And we do prayer vigils too. We call it Life Chain once a year, and then we do a walk for life. There was one other question, and I can relate to this, is do the abolish human abortion people bother you guys? And that'll be our last question because we're 1 minute over right now.
Right.
Not yet.
Well,
He's been down there. He came on Saturday, right? One of the Saturdays. So they will draw a lot of anger. And we have strategies for dealing with all these things. We're the peaceful, prayerful ones. The Menashes like us. We have a good reputation there. And if it becomes a problem, we just leave. We'll be back.
They won't. Not the next day anyway.
I mean, the building maintenance guy at Lilith was thanking me in the end when they showed up because he goes, "You guys aren't like that." And I said, and he treated them with respect in the beginning when they were in front, but they, they disobeyed all the rules. They were trespassing. They were right at the building. They were shouting. They were holding bloody signs and all this. And that just ingratiated them, the Menashes building people, to us rather than, because thank goodness you guys aren't doing that. But see, that's one of the problems when you have an abortion facility in your building. You don't know who's going to come there. And how's that going to be when you've got Ritz-Carlton people looking down on some big hubbub, so, yeah.
Well, I sure am grateful that these 4 amazing women came and shared with us. Don't forget to fill out your evaluation on this. And if you have any other questions, are you willing to hang around for a few minutes? Okay.
And if you didn't get a book, please let us know if you didn't get a book and want one.
All
We'll
right.
make sure that we arrange for that.
They'll be at their table out in the lobby as well. And also, I just want to thank you, ladies. Let's give them a round of applause.